So now we're nearing the end of the year, and well, we've seen a lot of chaos. And honestly, I have to say that I've actually been pretty optimistic. I don't think that this last term is MAGA's golden age or renaissance. I think it's MAGA's swan song. Everyone's rushing to grift what they can before it's gone. You've got a range of personalities butting heads. President Musk and Laura Loomer, Vivek and Coulter, and you've got competing MAGA visions. Everything that was in the dark is coming to the light. When I was a supporter 9 years ago, it was easier to be in denial about these things, about what was going on, because it was early and people were hesitant on coming out with their genuine beliefs. So it took me until 2020 to really understand what was going on, that something was wrong with these people. We're not even into the presidency, and we are seeing MAGA pulled the reverse Uno card on the news suckers in the grift who said that the economy was their main issue. That was quick, and it wasn't apparent for me until we were in a pandemic and a recession in 2020, and Trump was recommending to us, his supporters at the time, different ways to kill ourselves. I know people feel discouraged about the high number of minorities who broke for now Vice President elect Trump, but I can tell you from my perspective that that doesn't really funnel them into MAGA to stay. I read a lot about recently naturalized citizens who broke for Trump, believing that if they are good, he won't mess with them. And this is the same kind of appeasement I tried for much of my life. I figured that I could take a contrarian stance and display that I'm not a threat, and it might lead to more black people being able to enter that space. It took seeing how much these guys reveled in their disdain and apathy towards other groups to really understand that there is no appeasement. When we're in periods of duress, for example, economic stress, yeah, there are people within our groups that see the winds against them and try to go limp to be able to go with the winds. But what we will see, and what I saw, is that the wind wasn't actually just going in that direction against us just because it was going in another direction. It was going in that direction specifically because we were there. And that's something we are that we constantly have to learn. We have to see. And I think that's what's happened with a lot of Latino men, and it's similar to actually what was going on with me and with black conservatives. I appeased to such an extent that I eventually found myself putting my neck out for white pride and the lost cause of the Confederacy. So I I could have ended up like freaking Byron Donalds talking about how great Jim Crow was. 2020 is when I realized that my appeasement was making no grounds for myself or my community. And the end of a Ponzi scheme is marked with a rush in of new suckers. People believe the numbers of new suckers means the scheme will work out. So, like when we're seeing people rushing in on Maggie, you see that there was the popular vote, and you're like, you're feeling down, but like that's like it was only like less than a 2% margin, and not even the majority of people in the country. So even though it may look like oh, this means that it's going to actually succeed, or it has this kind of legitimacy. That doesn't mean it does. So what really happens at the end of a Ponzi scheme when you get the Russian and suckers is there are exponentially more people who need to be paid out and who need to join the scheme to keep it going. The new Trump voters are not going to get paid out. We know this. The nativists and the nationalists are trying to get theirs, and that's what they've been doing the last weeks, is trying to figure out how are they going to get their big piece of the pie, and nobody's talking about the price of eggs anymore. So, how will the new supporters sustain their support or convince more people to join? There's just no way. The scheme collapses in midterms and the next election as long as we are still boosting our message. So it's easy for the swing voters to find when they get burned.